So I've lived with anxiety since I was about 10. At its worst point, I couldn't leave the house for about 3 months. It's the most debilitating thing and so frustrating to try and explain. It's not like feeling stressed or nervous, it's feeling unwell and having heart palpitations and feeling completely stuck. I could make videos online or give talks in front of loads of people, but getting on a bus for me would be really difficult. I would sit on my doorstep and the only interaction I'd have with my friends is if they came and met me for a smoke. I couldn't even invite them upstairs in case I had a panic attack. I felt like if I invited them in and they'd come all that way, they might be annoyed at me for suddenly getting them to leave. The whole 3-month period felt like one massive horrible day. I'd have sudden moments where I had really sudden panic attacks and I'd have to get my ex to leave my house and run to my bed and shake and cry and not be able to calm down at all. I felt really, really hot and sick and horrific, and I'd often have 999 on my call list just in case I needed to phone them, because I felt like the only way I could calm down is if I got really serious medical attention. That was the toughest period, and I remember the first time leaving my house after that 3 months, I went to a garden centre with my parents, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. The further away I got from my house, the more stuck I felt. It's really hard to explain. For days after that, I was so exhausted, I thought I could never ever leave the house again. It was so lonely, and it's not just for you, you feel really guilty for everyone around you because their lives are kind of stopped a bit as well. I feel like my triggers are always changing. Just when I start to feel like I've got on top of one thing, something else seems to pop up. Something I struggle with every day is eating. Especially when I'm out in public, I need to be really, really careful, because if I eat too much and feel full, I will feel really, really sick and feel like I'm going to panic. And if I don't eat enough, I'll feel really, really faint and feel like I'm going to panic. Travel is something else that I really struggle with. I have a kind of safe part of Edinburgh that I tend to stick to, and getting out of that's really hard. I find public transport really difficult. I don't like not having an exit, and so if I'm in the middle of town and I suddenly have a panic attack, it might take me like half an hour to get home. I find that makes me feel really stuck, and so I tend to just avoid that. The worst part of anxiety is the loneliness, and people don't talk about it. I can't have a normal life. For a really long time I didn't think I could go to university or get a job or travel, and all of my friends were off going to university and travelling and being in proper relationships, and I felt so lonely. I remember thinking, I wish I was in hospital with like a physical illness, because people could visibly see I was unwell. Instead, people don't really like talking about it because they're scared they're going to offend you by saying anything. It is a hard thing to understand, and there's not always sense. I have conversations with people with a lot of ease, and I like going out and meeting new people. A few years ago I dropped out of college because of my anxiety, but by giving myself time and space, I've really started to understand my anxiety a lot more, and I'm about to graduate college.